The healing power of tiny action. Transforming big dreams from the habit of procrastination. Have you ever felt like you harbor massive, fiery dreams, yet are trapped by an invisible inertia, a sense of paralyzing lack of energy? You tell yourself, I'll start writing that book tomorrow. I'll begin exercising next Monday. I'll learn that new skill when I have enough time and motivation. But tomorrow, next Monday, or that perfect moment never arrives. We yearn for great achievements, a healthy body, a successful business, a lasting piece of art, but when confronted with reality, we choose to soothe ourselves by mindlessly scrolling on social media, watching TV, or doing anything easier. The guilt and self-reproach compound, creating a relentless cycle of dissatisfaction. This torment is not proof that you are perpetually lazy. It is your mind's confession when faced with overwhelming pressure. When a task feels too burdensome, our brain, which is wired to prioritize comfort and avoid pain, whether physical or the mental strain of effort, immediately activates the escape mechanism. It tells you, this is too hard. Let's do something easier that provides instant dopamine. But here is the good news. Procrastination is not your destiny. It is merely a habit, and habits are absolutely mutable. We often get stuck because the goals we set feel too distant and daunting. You want to save money, but the thought of extreme budget cuts chokes you. You want to get healthy, but the idea of running for hours every day leaves you exhausted before you even get out of bed. The issue is not a lack of caring or aspiration. It's that we haven't learned how to cope with overwhelm. We need to learn how to outsmart our comfort-loving brain with 3 simple, profound, and healing strategies. The art of minimization. Turning mountains into grains of sand, the foundation for overcoming inertia is changing the size of the task. Our brain responds to magnitude with fear. If you think about writing a 200-page book, you are confronting a snow-capped mountain. The psychological friction to start such a massive project is enormous. However, what if you thought about writing one meaningful sentence today? Suddenly, the mountain transforms into a tiny step. This is the art of minimization. For illustration, consider the story of a skillful carpenter named Elias. Elias always dreamed of carving a magnificent wooden statue, but every time he stood before the colossal oak log, he felt his hands tremble, his ideas frozen. He procrastinated for months. A wise sage advised him, "Elias, don't carve the statue. Carve only one cut today. Just one cut wherever you feel most comfortable." Elias followed the advice. A small initial cut, then a gentle shave. The next day, he made another cut. After each small action, he felt a surge of small wins, a positive flow of dopamine. He didn't focus on the finished statue, but only on the progress of today. 2 years later, the completed statue was not only a masterpiece but a testament to the cumulative power of tiny efforts. If you want to learn to play the guitar, do not think about performing a complex concerto. Commit to practicing a single chord just for 5 minutes. Perfection is the enemy of progress. When we focus on progress, we allow ourselves to make mistakes, to be clumsy, and most importantly, we allow ourselves to start. These small victories compound, creating a robust psychological momentum that helps us overcome greater obstacles later on. Remember, the mountain climber doesn't jump to the summit. They simply take one step at a time, and each step offers a deep sense of accomplishment. Building automatic bridges. Don't rely on willpower. Our biggest mistake is placing absolute faith in willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. It depletes when we are tired, stressed, or hungry. To defeat procrastination, we must not rely on fleeting motivation but on the structure of habit. Habits are like training wheels for your soul. They eliminate difficult decisions, turning actions into automatic reflexes. Let us imagine a habit as a physical bridge between the state of rest and the state of action. If you want to run every morning, don't wait until you feel energized to decide what to wear. Your automatic bridge is setting out your clothes, socks, and running shoes right next to your bed the night before. When the alarm rings, you don't need to make any willful decision. You only need to perform the next easiest action, slipping on your shoes. Consider the example of the famous novelist Haruki Murakami. He doesn't wait for inspiration to strike to write. He maintains an unshakable routine, waking at 4 a.m., working for 5 to 6 hours without a break, followed by a run. He doesn't use willpower to decide whether or not to write today. The act of writing has been automated. When a routine is established, you utilize the least amount of psychological energy to perform the most important things. Ask yourself, what tiny routine can I establish today to minimize the friction of starting? Perhaps it's drinking a glass of water immediately upon waking or writing down the 3 most important goals at the end of the workday. These anchoring actions create structure, and structure provides deep healing for a soul often torn apart by choices. The 2-minute rule, the leverage of momentum. This is the most powerful psychological strategy to overcome the starting barrier. The 2-minute rule. The hardest part of any task is not completing it, but starting it. The initial inertia, like static friction, is immense. The 2-minute rule challenges that fear by reducing the commitment to the point of being ridiculous. Promise yourself that you will work on something for just 2 minutes. Only 120 seconds. Want to read a book? Read 1 page. Want to clean your messy room? Start with 1 small corner of the desk. Want to learn a new language? Practice a single vocabulary word. A 2-minute commitment is completely unintimidating to your brain. It is too small to activate the avoidance response. But here is the magic. Once you start, momentum takes over. It's like pushing a heavy ball down a hill. The initial push requires strength, but once the ball is rolling, it moves on its own. Chances are, after 2 minutes, you will say, "All right, maybe just 5 more minutes." And then 5 minutes turns into 15, and 15 minutes turns into a productive work session. The 2-minute rule is not designed to finish the work. Its purpose is to make starting easy. It is the key to transitioning from a state of rest to a state of action. To solidify this process, employ the bonus advice. Reward yourself for starting. After completing your 2-minute commitment, celebrate in a small way, listen to a favorite song, take a sip of hot tea, or stand up and stretch. This reward helps your brain create a positive association between the pleasure and the initial action. You are retraining your mind that starting is not a punishment, but a celebratory experience. The power of consistency and the call to action. The truth is, all successful people start with the tiniest steps. The people we admire are not those who are perfect. They are those who know how to get back up after falling, and more importantly, they know how to maintain consistency. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is an indispensable part of the journey. View your dreams as a tiny spark flickering within your heart. Laziness is the cold wind trying to extinguish it. Every small action you take, a single written sentence, 2 minutes of focus, a new simple routine is like adding a dry piece of kindling to that fire. One piece of kindling might not make a huge difference, but the accumulation of those small pieces will create a roaring fire, illuminating your entire life. Do not wait for perfect motivation or a divine moment. Choose one goal you have been putting off and apply these 3 simple principles today. Minimize the task, establish a simple routine to begin it, and commit 2 minutes to jumpstart it. Be kind to yourself. Accept that you will stumble, but know that the most important thing is always getting back up and moving forward. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to be consistent. Small efforts, performed regularly, can create massive change. Your dreams are waiting. Light that fire right now. The tiny action you take today is the most powerful healing medicine for your procrastinating soul.